Hi everyone, so if you're new here, I'm Damaris and I created Rainbow Vegans Rock, and on my channel I talk about vegan things and eco-friendly things. So today's video I just wanted to outline which are the sustainable fabrics in fashion. So first of all, the worst fabrics in fashion. So you can probably guess this, but the worst ones are polyester, acrylic and nylon, and that's because all of these are made in various ways from plastic. So they basically use fossil fuels to create plastic threads, and then that gets spun on a machine which spins it to the desired sort of thickness, that sort of thing, to create the fabric. So because it's made from plastic, this just means that it will never biodegrade. So not to mention the fact that the whole process of making it is terrible for the environment. It takes about 200 years to biodegrade, I believe, perhaps more. So it's just a terrible fabric. These are terrible fabrics in so many ways. So polyester generally is used a lot in a mix with clothing. So when I first went vegan, I checked all of my jumpers to see if they were wool, just out of interest. But what I found was actually most of them were polyester or acrylic. So it has that sort of texture. The last one being nylon. So basically that will be used for a lot of underwear, tights, sometimes swimwear, that sort of thing. That sort of stretchy material is what they use nylon for. Next is cotton. Now cotton, of course, because it's a natural material, it will biodegrade. However, in the process of growing cotton, there is a lot of other problems with it as well. So cotton needs a lot of water throughout its life cycle. So it is said that it takes 2,700 litres of water to make one cotton t-shirt. So like one adult cotton t-shirt. When you think about that, that is a lot of water for the cotton to make one t-shirt. And not to mention the pesticides that are used on the cotton plants as well. So it is said that all of the pesticides that are used are of course released into the air. Now the area around the Aral Sea, which is where most of the cotton plantations are, it has been found that the people in that area have the highest rate of throat cancer in the world. I will leave a link for the article, the source where I found this information. But isn't that absolutely awful? And of course pesticides, when they're used, don't just affect people, they affect the animals in the surrounding areas, and it pollutes the waters as well. So ordinary cotton in that sense is terrible for the environment. So you might be thinking about organic cotton in that case. Now of course organic cotton is better because at least it's not had the same treatment with the pesticides, but it is worth bearing in mind that it has actually still required a lot of water to grow. So it's still not the most sustainable fabric, but it's not the worst either. I think try and look out for recycled cotton if you can, because that is then making use out of the post-consumer waste and the industrial waste cotton. So this is quite an interesting one. Bamboo, which I've always thought as being very sustainable. It's all you generally hear about in the sustainable world, that bamboo everything is the way to go. What I have found out from a blogger friend in America recently, she wrote a blog post just saying that not all bamboo is sustainable, and that's because some of the bamboo has gone through a process which basically turns the bamboo wood pulp into either rayon or viscose from the bamboo. But some of these processes are done so much so that there is no longer any actual bamboo in the product at all. So there are some companies in the USA, maybe in the UK, I'm not sure, that are claiming something to be 100% bamboo, when in actual fact it's not. It's either rayon or viscose, however those are said. It really pays to just be really careful and make sure you do your research before you buy a bamboo item of clothing. So bamboo itself, when compared to trees, is much better environmentally. So it grows so much faster. I think I've read somewhere that it grows 4 foot per day, which is quite crazy, or it can grow 4 feet per day, and it absorbs more carbon dioxide than regular trees, and it doesn't require fertilizers either. So bamboo in itself has all of these pluses. However, bamboo on its own is actually quite rough as a fabric, so it's usually mixed with other fabrics to give it a softer feel. So when I found out about this information, I looked into the clothes that I buy from BAM Clothing. So they're made from 68% bamboo viscose and 28% organic cotton and 4% elastane. BAM Clothing themselves are very transparent on their website though, and they discuss working closely with their suppliers to make sure that there's good waste management practices in place. So I'm fairly confident after looking into this that the bamboo from BAM Clothing is sustainable and they're doing what they can environmentally. In the future, I will just keep being extra vigilant before I buy anything, if I buy anything new, and just make sure that the company is doing what they say they are and everything like that, especially when it comes to bamboo items. So the next one is hemp clothing. So hemp is a great plant. I think these days people are thinking of hemp as less of a drug, as it were, and more of the fact that it does actually have a lot of pluses health-wise. So the hemp plant loves sunlight, so it's mostly grown in hotter countries or under hydroponic lights. So like I said, these days the health benefits from hemp are definitely more well known. Previously I did think that people couldn't think about hemp without thinking about marijuana, but these days I don't think that is really the case anymore. It is said that hemp actually could save us in a lot of ways environmentally. It can be used as a plastic substitute, so like a bioplastic. It can be used as fabric, it can be used as paper, and it can also be used as a bio oil. So hemp does actually also absorb 22 tons of carbon per hectare when it's growing, and when cultivated that carbon is not released into the atmosphere or anything. Hemp is another material that doesn't need fertilizers to grow, and it only needs 5% of the water that cotton does. Hemp also removes toxins from the soil whilst it's growing, which I thought was really awesome. So hemp is one of my favorite sustainable materials. It's got like a slightly rough feel to it, and I kind of like that because I don't like clothes that feels too like soft. I don't like that feel. I haven't used fabric conditioner in years because of that reason. I don't currently have anything hemp. In fact, I did used to have a top maybe 12 years ago now, and I'm not sure what happened to it in the end, but I did really like that top. I liked the feel of it. Some people are a bit put off from hemp because it has like a slight earthy smell, but I've always liked that. I guess it's personal preference, and I think not a lot of people like the feel of hemp either because it is quite rough. Of course, you can buy clothes that are hemp mixed with things like organic cotton, and that gives it a more stretchy kind of feel. I've already touched on this before, but recycled cotton. So whilst cotton itself is not a sustainable fabric, recycled cotton is made from post-consumer waste and post-industrial waste. So that is a brilliant sustainable fashion material. Organic linen. Now this one's a little bit on the pricier side. It's because it's a great light fabric. It also dries really quickly, so it's generally used in a lot of sort of summery clothes or for hotter countries, that sort of thing. So that organic linen is actually pretty sustainable because it avoids the pesticides, of course. It uses less water than cotton, and no part of the plant is wasted either because flax seeds are collected for selling or for using as linseed oil. Okay, so Tencel. This is a new material which has come about. So this is made from sustainably sourced wood using environmentally responsible processes. So they've got two different types of fibres, which is lyocell and modal is the brand names for them. So these sustainable fabrics can be mixed with other fibres to improve their softness. So I'm not aware of any companies that use this just yet. I just came across this on my research, so I'm not aware of anywhere that uses it, but it sounds really really interesting. So the next one is Pinatex. So in case you haven't heard about this one, this is the vegan leather which is made from pineapple leaves. So the creators discovered that there was a lot of leaves wasted from the pineapple farming, and they discovered that if they dried it out in the sun, they took the impurities out of it, mixed some polylactic acid with it and put it through like a mechanical process, that it would create this like mesh which was like leather. So this is really interesting that you can make something like that from pineapple leaves. I just think that's so cool. So next one is recycled polyester. So this is something that they use single-use plastic water bottles in, and I discovered this when I was putting together the sustainable and ethical brand list. I discovered that actually there were a few brands that used this material to create their, I think it might have been shoes. So another material which is kind of similar is something called Enonyl, I think. I'm not sure if I've said that right, but it's basically a fabric that is an alternative to nylon. So it's made from industrial plastic waste and fishing nets. So I've already seen some swimwear which uses recycled plastic. I thought that was pretty cool. It doesn't actually state what they refer to the fabric as, but it sounds like recycled polyester to me. So of course these two materials, the recycled polyester and Enonyl, are both still made from plastic. So I just thought I would mention that you would still need to be careful about washing this, because as it's still plastic, it may still produce microplastics which could work their way through the water system and back out into the sea at the other end. So just be really careful with washing anything that is still polyester or made from plastic in some way. It's just something to be aware of, and perhaps consider investing in either a coreable or something that puts the filter on the back of the washing machine, which filters out the microplastics. So in summary, I think that actually quite a lot of these sustainable fabrics are really good if you have the money. If you don't have the money, just remember that buying second hand is definitely a good way to go. Just be aware that if you're buying anything which is synthetic like polyester, you may need to do something to prevent the microplastics working their way through the system. But apart from that, there's some good options for sustainable fabrics. I personally like buying things second hand more, and I just try and make sure that I check and see what material it is when I buy something second hand, mostly just because I'm on a budget, so it just makes sense for me. So I hope that was useful. I didn't want it to be too long a video. If you like this sort of thing, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.